Hi, my name is David Markham. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, or sometimes I call myself a psychiatric social worker, or sometimes I am referred to as a psychotherapist, sometimes as a family therapist or a marriage counselor. People in my profession go by many ways, many names. Over the years, I've worked mostly in the mental health and substance abuse field, both as a counselor and clinician, as well as a supervisor, manager, and even an executive director. I want to do a series of videos on my experience providing clinical social work services. This October 31st, 2008, I will have been in the field for 40 years, and I'm 62 years old, and as I reflect back on my practice over the last 40 years, there's many things that I have learned that I think certainly have been very valuable for me and might have some value and benefit for others as well. This is the first of a series of videos that I'll be making telling stories about my personal professional experience as a clinical social worker. The things that have worked well for me and the sense that I have made out of my practice may not necessarily work for someone else or make much sense to them. So my telling my personal professional stories in no way is an attempt to impose the way I practice on anyone else. But if in hearing my stories some of the ideas are helpful to you and can benefit you in your practice or in your daily life, then I will have accomplished my goal. The first story I want to tell you about, and I'm a little embarrassed to tell you, is I was in social work school getting my master's degree in social work at the State University of New York at Albany back in 70 to 72. One of my best professors was Dr. Maureen Didier, who taught me 3 classes in casework. Social work school at that time required 64 credit hours, so it was 4 semesters over a 2-year period where you're taking academic courses as well as doing field placement and internship at different agencies. And I had Dr. Didier for 3 semesters. And she used to tell us in class, take the client where they're at. Take the client where they're at. Take the client where they're at, not where you want them to be, not where you think they ought to be, not where they should be. You need to take people where they're at. Back in my youth, I thought that this was kind of Mickey Mouse advice. It didn't strike me as very academic. It doesn't come from social science research. It appears to be more an ethical value than anything based on evidence-based practice. So I used to mock her out of class, and I would say to my colleagues or fellow students, can you believe this is what passes for graduate education here at SUNY Albany? Dr. Didier standing up there in front of the class saying, take the client where they're at, take the client where they're at. My God, you think they'd have something more substantive than that? And yet 40 years have gone by, and I'm ashamed to tell you that the most important thing that I learned in my graduate social work education is what I learned from Dr. Didier when she told us, take the client where they're at. That not only has stood me in very good stead in my professional practice, but it has also stood me in very good stead in my personal life as well. Every now and then I find myself getting frustrated. I find myself getting judgmental. I find myself getting too far out in front of my clients or friends or family members, where I want to tell them what to do, where I want to impose my values and opinions and beliefs and practices on them. And I have Dr. Maureen Didier sitting right here on my shoulder saying, David, take the client where they're at. Not where you think they should be, not where they ought to be. You have to take people where they're at. And now, every night, when I go to bed and I review my day, hardly a day goes by that I don't say a prayer of thanksgiving for Dr. Maureen Didier, who taught me take the client where they're at.